A very good day to Doctor. My name is Nur Zahira Adhani binti Azmanuddin and I am the first presenter. First of all, I will present about the definition of the topic, which is inflation. Inflation is a situation where there is a persistent and rapid increase in the general price level, CPI. This persistent increase in prices makes each unit of currency buy fewer goods or services than before. It occurs when there is too much money in circulation compared to the supply of goods, leading to higher demand and rising prices. It's a situation of chronic excess aggregate demand over aggregate supply. Inflation reduces the purchasing power of money. This reduction in the purchasing power of money means that as price increase, each dollar or currency unit holds less value, leading to a decrease in what you can afford with the same amount of money. Inflation is commonly classified by economists into two main categories, which are demand pull inflation and cost push inflation. Demand pull inflation typically driven by an excess of demand over the available output or supply of goods and services. Cost push inflation occurs when the overall price level rises due to an increase in the cost of production, such as higher wages or more expensive raw materials. Next slide is about introduction of the topic. Between 2019 and 2023, Lebanon experienced one of the worst inflation crises in its history due to the dramatic depreciation of the Lebanese pound and a nationwide liquidity shortage. Prices for necessities skyrocketed as a result of the currency, which was formerly pegged to the US dollar, losing more than 90% of its value. The primary causes of this disaster are years of poor economic management, unstable political environments, and an unsustainable banking system. Millions of people in Lebanon are now living in poverty as a result of this hyperinflation's terrible effects on the country. The extent of the issue has not been adequately addressed by international assistance, and the government's response has been mainly ineffectual. The inflation problem in Lebanon is a clear illustration of how poor political and economic leadership may result in a catastrophic humanitarian tragedy. Move on to the next slide, which is inflation in Lebanon in 2019 and 2020. The inflation rate for 2019 was a 3.01%, shows a 3.07% decline from 2018. Furthermore, the inflation rate for 2020 was 84.86%, which is a sharp rise than the year before. The COVID-19 pandemic started worsen one of the worst times of inflation in Lebanon's history, which resulted from the country's economic collapse. Next, the ongoing fiscal deficit, where every time the government's spending exceeded its income, borrowing rose and the country's debt grew. Prices were driven higher by this fiscal imbalance because the government found it difficult to fund its expenditures without producing excessive money printing. Furthermore, dependence on imports for necessities, where the depreciation of the Lebanese pound against major currency made the average Lebanese citizen's cost of living increase. The impacts are the government found it difficult to fund its expenditures without producing excessive money printing due to the prices were driven higher by this fiscal imbalance. Also, the public's confidence in the financial system was further damaged by the limitation on withdrawals and transfers brought about by the bank liquidity crisis.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. First of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Nuruddin Edrina binti Nojimi and I will present the statistic inflation in Lebanon in 2021. Based on the graph, we can see that Lebanon experienced an extreme economic crisis with the inflation rate rise up from 84.9% in 2020 to 154.8% in 2021. This situation occurs because of a number of causes. Firstly, the depreciation of Lebanese pound against the foreign currencies such as US dollar has affected their currency as it increased the import prices and diminishing the population's purchasing power. So secondly, the aftermath of the Beirut port explosion tragedy in August 2020 has interrupted the supply systems and causing the widespread damage of Lebanon country. So lastly, for the impact, due to the increases price in food, fuel and healthcare, most of the Lebanese citizens struggle to satisfy their basic demands, that resulting mounting social unrest and protests around the country.
Assalamualaikum and hi to everyone. Before I start, I want to introduce myself. My name is Aisyah Najwa binti Abu Bakar, and today I want to talk about inflation in Lebanon in 2022. As you can see the slide, the graph shows the inflation increased in 2020 from the previous year. This continued trend of triple-digit inflation reflects the ongoing economic crisis in the country, which has been characterized by severe currency devaluation and rising prices across various sectors. Other than that, the telecom sector saw the biggest price hikes as tariff previously calculated at the official exchange rate were now aligned with the central bank's Sarafa platform rate. Other sectors also experienced substantial increase, which is miscellaneous goods and services, education and healthcare. Other than that, the long-term impact of hyperinflation has been devastating, pushing more than half of the population into poverty. In conclusion, the main drivers of inflation in Lebanon include the depreciation of the Lebanese lira, rising cost of essential goods and services, and the country's dependence on imports. The economic downturn has also led to a drop in production across various sectors, further exacerbating inflationary pressures.
Assalamualaikum everyone, my name is Asma Masturah binti Muhammad Yazid. I will continue the inflation in Lebanon in 2023. As you can see the slide, the graph shown the inflation also increased to 222.42% in 2023. Next, there are main causes of inflation in Lebanon in 2023. Firstly, Lebanon's long-distance political instability has resulted in significant economic mismanagement, which has ultimately undermined investor confidence. Other than that, lack of confidence has been exacerbated by the ongoing depreciation of the local currency against the US dollar, drastically reducing the purchasing power of citizens, driving up price, especially for imported goods. Furthermore, there is some impact of the inflation in Lebanon in 2023, which is the sharp rise in prices for transportation and housing for the Lebanese household. Its increased fuel costs and rent hike made daily living more expensive and challenging, particularly for those in urban areas.
Now, we move on to the issue related to inflation in Lebanon. One of the issues that related to inflation in Lebanon is the currency depreciation. According to World Bank, this situation occurs because of the Lebanese pound collapse in the exchange rate from 1,500 LBP per US dollar to more than 100,000 LBP per dollar on the black market. This could threaten the economic stability and raising the cost of imported goods and services. So, there is several factors of why this issue happened in Lebanon. Firstly, is the economic mismanagement from Lebanon government. The action from their government to unregulated money lending has actually led to high public debt. This failure has resulted in rising debt and financial crisis that weakened the investor confidence in the Lebanese pound. Secondly, political instability and corruption also one of the factors of the currency depreciation in Lebanon. The political gridlock following the 2018 protests has resulted in multiple government resignation and a lack of solid economic plan. So the failure to build a stable administration has stopped the important economic improvement and good governance. Additionally, the corruption also has affected their currency. For example, the misconduct and corruption at the government-owned EDL has resulted in severe waste of resources and deficit spending. Next factor is the lack of successful economic reforms. Their inability to reform has reduced the confidence among the investors, as investors see the government incapable or unwilling to stabilizing the economy. Thus, Lebanon's severe currency depreciation crisis from 2019 to 2023 requires a unity of government that dedicated to transparent governance and do a significant changes. Next, the second issue that arises in inflation in Lebanon is liquidity shortages. The liquidity shortages in Lebanon banking industry arose following the financial collapse in late 2019. As the depositors rushed to cash out their savings, banks imposed strict capital controls that limiting access to funds. This situation occurs because of numerous factors. Firstly, the fragility of Lebanese bank has worsened the liquidity shortages. This is because the Bank of Lebanon has large investment in government bonds that have seen as safe financial products. However, it actually creates a risky scenario as they invested large amount of their assets in this bond that lead to financial crisis. Next, the second factor is decline in foreign investment. Foreign investors withdrew and avoid to engage in Lebanese market because they think it is difficult to raise cash as the country have significant problem in economic management. This shortage of investment has actually affected the Lebanon currency inflows that lead to liquidity crisis in banks. Last but not least, the severe devaluation of the Lebanese pound also influenced the Lebanon's liquidity problem. As the currency lost value, the cost of imported products increased, affected the people and companies' actual income. Therefore, the consumers can only purchase less as purchasing power has dropped.
Next, I will continue the impact of the issue in Lebanon. The first impact is skyrocketing price in Lebanon due to currency depreciation issue. Lebanon's home currency LBP has been plunged into great company and social loss, whereby its citizens has been hugely impacted. Due to the depreciation of LBP against other international currency, especially the US dollar, the price of important goods has significantly increased. This is especially destructive to Lebanon, more particularly on those essential commodities such as food, fuel, medicines, among other that Lebanon import most of them. Other than that, the inflation spiral has reduced the purchasing power of household in a way which has made it very hard for individuals to finance their past living standards. Lastly, the interplay of rising price and falling purchasing power affect not only the household's financial capacity but also generate various decrease in the general people's confidence in the company and social stability. The second impact is loss of business confidence in Lebanon due to liquidity shortages issue. The liquidity shortages in Lebanon has had a profoundly destabilizing effect on both the financial system and the broader economy, with far-reaching consequences for business confidence and economic stability. The inability of Lebanon's bank to meet withdrawal demand has sparked widespread panic among depositors, leading to a rush of withdrawal that has only exacerbated the liquidity crisis. Other than that, the cascading effect of this crisis has distributed daily economic activities as a business and individual find themselves unable to access necessary funds for operation, payrolls, and investment. Furthermore, the escalating financial instability creates a barrier to recover as restoring trust in the financial system becomes a more formidable challenge. The ongoing raising of confidence impairs the effectiveness of any remedial measure and perpetuates a vicious cycle of economic decline.
Next, policy to solve the issue. As you can see the slide, structural reforms are one of the policy to solve currency depreciation. Firstly, fiscal reforms. By improving tax administration and public financial management can help rebalance the budget and reduce reliance on borrowing. Secondly, SOE restructuring by reforming state-owned enterprise, particularly in the energy sector, can alleviate fiscal burdens and improve service delivery. Thirdly, anti-corruption measures. Addressing corruption is crucial for improving the investment climate and restoring investor confidence. Fourthly, social safety nets. Given the alarming poverty rates, establishing comprehensive social safety nets is necessary to protect the most vulnerable segments from the adverse effects of inflation and economic instability. Next policy are monetary policy. Firstly, unified exchange rate. This policy is designed to protect the poorest population from the adverse effect of inflation while providing a clearer framework for economic activity. Secondly, interest rate adjustment and liquidity management. Monetary policy has focused on controlling inflation through interest rate adjustment and liquidity management. By increasing interest rate, the central bank can discourage excessive borrowing and spending, which can help stabilize price. Thirdly, debt restructuring. By restructuring debt, the government can create fiscal space for essential social and development spending, which is crucial for economic recovery.
Last but not least, the slide about conclusion. In the final analysis, an alarming trajectory of political instability, economic mismanagement, and external shocks has been the driving force behind Lebanon's inflation from 2019 to 2023. The country faced a severe financial crisis that began in late 2019 that resulted in the collapse of the national currency and skyrocketing costs for necessities. The purchasing power of Lebanese citizens drastically decreased as inflation rates surged, by plunging many into poverty and escalating social turmoil. The government's incapacity to stabilize the financial system or enact meaningful economic changes during this time added to the severity of the crisis. International institutions have suggested and offered support, such as World Bank, the International Monetary Fund (IMF), but real progress have been hampered by political stalemate and a lack of agreement among Lebanese leaders. In conclusion, despite the formidable obstacles, a concerted effort combining governmental will, outside assistance, and active engagement from civil society may open the door to a more secure and prosperous Lebanon down the road. That's all from us. Thank you.